Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Life Stories Told with Love by She's Mom. Last time, we learned from our guest how to help people and to make them feel better in their bodies. And today, we will continue to discuss this topic, similar topic, let's say, with Fabio Salvadori, coach, mentor, and author. So, welcome to our podcast, Fabio. It is my pleasure to have this podcast with you. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm well. You know what? I'm happy. That's something we always struggle when we ask someone how are you. There's always this thing about we don't want to look too good, but I'm happy. It's a very good time of my life. So
Oh, congratulations.
cannot ask for more. So yeah, I'm happy.
That's good. That's good. Please share a little bit of your happiness with me.
Let's hope we can do a bit of that. Today I maybe the word's not even happy. I'm content. I'm really content with the things I'm never fully satisfied, so I'm always you know yearning for more, trying to do more, but at the same time I'm really content with everything I have. So
Interesting. That's good always to have a curious part inside of you.
absolutely, absolutely, I think that's one of the fundamental, I would say, mindset, or if you want, attitude that really makes a difference in life. And it's natural, but unfortunately, due to things that happens in life and the education that we receive, we kind of lose the ability to be curious and asking questions. So
Oh, please don't say that.
no, it's. I mean, I there are some studies,
Really?
on the subject of curiosity. They're very interesting, showing how going through school, students they start asking a lot of questions when they're very young. A child about 3 4 years old, they can ask up to a few hundred questions a day, and by the end of school, they are if they ask one question in a day, one meaningful question in a day, is already a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so it's a shame because I feel like we are all. Um, I may be the subject and things we can discuss today, but one thing that really led me to the big shift in my life was realizing that we are all born, with a natural ability to be creative. It's really, it's kind of built in. And then we just forget it and we go through the things of life and we learn that we are not creative or we don't have this potential. And I truly feel that, I mean, the work that I do is just to remind people that they are creative, that they have this potential.
Yeah. 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 Interesting. Yeah. I was trying to remember when was the last time when I did something creative, and that's why I was without
Oh,
words. Sorry.
these things you're doing is creative. Um, we can add creativity in everything we do in the end. I mean, it's just the way we approach things with that curiosity, that desire to, bring little improvements or find different ways of doing the same thing. So creativity can be really applied anywhere in any kind of context. And it's becoming, I mean, there are studies about the most important skills in the work environment and blah blah blah, made by the economists, consultants, and they all put creativity on the first three spots. In particular, now with the arrival of AI, the bloom of AI, and that kind of intelligence, being creative is what makes us, human.
Yeah, and different from the AI.
And
Really?
absolutely, it's the uniqueness of being human, this ability to find ideas, between the lines, between the things we already know, go beyond the things we already know. And I think that's a beautiful potential that we all have. We just need to be reminded and awaken that potential again. But it's there. I truly
Okay.
believe it's there.
Okay. We just rush into
Yeah,
the middle
sorry.
of the podcast. You said you are a talker, so you proved me from the very first beginning. So it's okay.
Sorry.
But before we go there, Fabio, please tell us about your life story.
Oh, how many hours do we have? No, no, I'm joking. Um, I'm Italian, first of all, and that's an important part of my of who I am because I truly feel the roots of and how lucky I am of being born in such a beautiful country. Um, I'm 50 years old, and I spent, I think, the first 40 something years of my life following a kind of well designed path. And they gave me a lot of um, beautiful and fantastic gifts. Um, but I was into, I grew up into the technology space. That's what I learned. I learned computer science. I was in the middle of the internet bubble at the end of the 90s. So I kind of lived through the blooming of internet technology becoming like uh, the most natural things in our life. And I played my part in that space um, until two things happened, kind of a sequence. If I have really to just share to the two key moments in my life. One was beginning of 2017. I went for this long road trip with my best friend in Patagonia, so south of South America, and we spent like 3 weeks, just the two of us, improvising every day in the middle of nowhere. And that sense of living life as it comes, without really having to plan things out, to decide what to do, it did something to me. I didn't know what at the time, but it just did something to me. So when I came back, I couldn't go back to the work that I love anymore. I couldn't find really the spark in that things anymore. But at the same time, I couldn't figure out what to do with my life. So I felt like my creativity was gone. And luckily, a person that I knew from years before, that then became my mentor, and the person I wrote the book with. He invited me. He kind of I reached out, asked for help, and he invited me to go to a retreat in California. And so I kind of took the leap of faith. I didn't know what it was about. I just jumped on a plane, went there, and then I had my revelation moment that then led to the writing of the book and starting as an author and as a coach and so on. And it was because it was a retreat about innovation. So I felt like, cool. I mean, I've been working in innovation for 20 years. I should go there and shine like a diamond among everyone. And after 2 days, I couldn't come up with any idea, and I felt like everyone was having being very creative, but me. And then I had the moment in which we did. I literally remember the moment because we were. I don't know if you ever saw those kind of labyrinth, circular labyrinth that sometimes I use in some holistic process or things like that. And we were standing in front of that, and everyone was going in meditation, like kind of walking meditation, and they were all coming out enlightened with ideas. And I went in, and nothing happened. And in a kind of a moment of desperation because nothing was happening, I completely gave up trying. And I just, in that moment, I just stayed with the moment. And I was just, and it may look silly, I started tapping with my feet, a kind of rhythm that was in my head, something as silly as that. But what happened is that when I came out, all of a sudden, I realized that the things I knew and all the knowledge that I have was getting in the way of me being creative. I was kind of relying on the things I knew instead of opening up. And that's where the whole idea of subtraction that then became my main approach to coaching and helping others came through. I needed to get rid of some stuff to create space so I could be creative again. And that's why I started coaching. I learned coaching. That's why I started writing. For me, it was all a process of removing these stories I have in my head. It was getting in the way of me being really creative. And that started the journey that brought me to India and other parts of the world and doing pilgrimages and walks and so on. But it all started really with that moment in which I was stuck. And I realized that more than learning new things, I really need to start unlearning some things. Um, and that's really what's defining where I am right now in life. And things I love to do is helping people unlearn.
That's fantastic because sometimes we don't even realize that we are the ones standing in our way to be ourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's no magic, potion. It's But what I love is creating space where we can work together, and and I can kind of disrupt the thinking of the parent. We all have stories in our head. We grow up. We have stories that come from that we inherited from our parents, from our community, from our culture. I'm Italian. I'm raised as Catholic, so I have all these stories that comes with me. And there are, I mean, some of them they made me who I am, so they're wonderful. Some are getting in the way of me truly becoming who I can be. So the idea is to work with someone who can really help you see through these stories and discover that there's a bit more that you can let out and sometimes these stories are the one getting in the way of our creativity, our potential to make a difference, to do something meaningful with our life.
Yeah, but coming from, you said you worked 20 years in digital work, right?
Yeah.
Coming from a digital world, how is it to work now with people? Because I work in a IT company and I see my
Mhm.
colleagues who are typing codes every day. They don't often, they are not as, they don't socialize as much as I do.
Um, that's interesting. The you know I found that software developers in particular, they're often the most philosophical people I know, because by working with software, making in a way, making computer things and do things, it kind of help you question also what is your intelligence, what is that you have that is different from the machine. So the most beautiful philosophical conversation that I had are often with software developers. But part of the work I did for the book and the research and that I did and the learning that I got from my mentor and co-author, they come from the Indian philosophy, and there's this beautiful way of seeing human being in the Indian philosophy as a multi-layer being. So each one of us in that perspective has many layers, and every layers 5 layers in that model, and every layers brings some faculties, some qualities, um, things is during life for the stories we have in our head, but also the success and failure that we have. We strengthen some of these layers, and we lose the ability to access some of the other layers. So, like one of the layers is the cognitive intelligence that is often very well developed in software developers and problem solver, but they may kind of have some imbalance and be unable to enter the layer of the social intelligence, the one that is about connecting with others, feeling empathy. And so it's just that there's an opportunity there to even explore with them what's getting in the way of them socializing, creating, feeling what other people are saying. And we may discover that there are some, something that happened or some story in their head, that the moment you help them see beyond that, do stories or do belief, they bloom.
Oh wow! So
Um,
everybody has in them that.
we all have all these five layers of intelligence. Um, Thing is, because we are born with that, is how we are made. But yeah, I mean, and you can look at them as I always use the example of the onion. They're like layers of an onion in which the physical form is the outer layer. But yeah, in kind of going through life, the experience of life, the learning, we add the layers that kind of act as barriers in accessing all these inner and more subtle layers of ourselves. And as a result, we may lose the creative, the intuition, the layer of intuition, or the ability to connect with the divine and the spiritual part of ourselves, or the social intelligence and so on. So it's really, in the end, it's about understanding what are the stories that we are carrying with us, and they're getting in the way. The things you were saying before, we are sometimes getting in the way of truly shining. Um, but the potential is there. It's always
Okay, it's good to know. It's really good
there.
to know.
Yeah, it's essential for me. I truly have uh, um, an infinite trust in the potential of human beings.
Yeah, you are a believer.
But definitely, you know, I truly believe that we are born um, to do meaningful things, to create beauty and to love, and it's just that then things happen in life, and sometimes we get lost in the process. But we're all born with that capacity to love, create beauty, be creative, and make a difference.
Okay, and may I ask you what kind of motivated you to change yourself?
Ha,
I mean, I know you said that that event, that trip with your
yeah,
friend,
but
but
it's a very good question, because um, change and motivation, they goes in a weird way, because sometimes the motivation come after you start changing, and in a way, when you start changing, you see the effect that it has on you, and that kind of create the motivation to go further. um, but usually, uh, at least the experience I have with the client I work, the people I work with, or the people I walk with, is that there's always something in life that creates a discontinuity, a kind of a shift. It can be small or big. Um, Sometimes it happens, like you're having breakfast and you have that moment in which you say, okay, my life cannot be just this. I want more. Most of the time, it's an external disruption. Like in my case, it was a divorce, the kind of um, forced me to put my life into different perspective, because I planned everything was going in a direction, and all of a sudden I have to redesign and rethink my life. And so that was like one of the event that I'm most grateful for in my life, because it really had me rebuild. For someone, it may be a positive disruption, like having a child. I know we're talking about, we are in the context of she's mom, and becoming a father or becoming a mother is a huge shift in life, and it's the kind of shift that can activate some desire to, do something different, trying something different, or it create also the space to try something different. but it can be like losing the job or getting promoted. Anytime there are some shifts in external shifts in our life, those shifts they create a small crack, and that crack is an opportunity. And if you take the chance of taking a look inside that crack, and maybe you open it up a bit, then change will create motivation, and motivation will lead you to even more change, and it becomes a transformational journey.
Okay. So it's like an infinite sign. Something
Uh,
um
that's a beautiful image. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with inspiration. One of the things I do, um, I write every day. So every morning, I have this practice that I started as just an experiment 5 years ago. After I came back from the retreat, I was saying I started this morning practice of writing for 15 minutes, and I post whatever comes up. If it's good, if it's bad, whatever. I made a commitment with myself: 15 minutes of writing, and then it's out on my blog. And people ask me, well, I mean, how do you find every morning the inspiration to write? And one thing I've learned through this process is that first you do most of the time, and then the inspiration comes. So inspiration and motivation for me is something that comes with the action. So if you're waiting for the motivation to change, you may never start. So sometimes you just need something that open up your eyes so you see the opportunity, the possibility to change, and then it's about taking that opportunity and motivation comes. Uh,
hmm, okay, okay. So now that you mentioned writing, I know that you participate in writing a book, Subtractions, right?
yes.
Yeah. How was that experience?
Um, it was a long journey. It took like almost 3 years and a half to
Oh,
write a
wow.
book. Because, I read somewhere a writer saying that there are people who write books because they know what they want to say, and the people that write books to discover what they want to say. So with Sujit, my co-author, and Elliot, we wrote the book to discover what we wanted to say. We have an idea, this concept of subtraction, of removing conditionings and beliefs and stories to free up the creative power. But the process of writing the book was also our process of discovering what that means and how do we give to that thing or the idea of subtraction some substance. So there was some studies that need to be done. I think we wrote the book 3 times, and the first 2 times we just throw it away and start again. But for me, it was a beautiful process of learning and growing through the journey. And anytime I go back to the book and I open it up and I check some parts of it, I kind of it feels like it's going to be the journey of my life, and even if it's non-fiction, so it's not a fiction book, but the process of the creative process described in the book is the creative process that describes how we wrote the book also. We went through that journey. So it's for me it's a very personal um, transformation that came with the book. So the book is at the same time how I made that transformation, but also what are the way in which anyone can go through the same kind of process of changing. So,
Okay.
but
Uh,
I mean, I
and I have one question for you. Actually, I
okay.
have a lot of questions for you. But what did you discover and actually was mind blowing for you and for our listeners?
Oh, I think the big shift in perspective that um, came thanks to the work on the book, and it really shifted my way of looking at everything is, I grew up as I said, I study computer science, so I'm a scientist as background. So I grew up with a very materialistic perspective to things. So my whole life, I believe that first comes matter, and then comes awareness. So we are body, and then magically at some point our brain becomes self-aware, and we are aware of things happening. The biggest shift for me was realizing that it's the other way around, and that we are just how can I say a crystallized form of one consciousness. Then obviously every religion trying to it's one of those concepts that you have to feel more than describe, but realizing that awareness inform the form that define the forms that we have and not vice versa, for me is the biggest shift. um, and now the more I study computer field, quantum science, all the quantum science and all that kind of stuff, I'm realizing how more and more scientists are becoming aware that that's the way. And but it completely changed my approach to life, because instead of seeing reality as a limitation, I see reality as a constant opportunity. And that for me was the biggest shift. It did also had a small, a kind of a smaller things that really blew my mind, but that is very concrete in the way that it applies to life, is that reality as a whole is unknowable. Whatever I know, whatever I experience of reality is subjective, is my experience of reality. Your experience of reality is your experience of reality. Um, that for me is the biggest change, because I grew up with this illusion that's an objective reality that we all know, and that's often is the source of conflict, tensions, because obviously, if that's objective and we see things differently, one of us must be wrong. Um,
Why can we all be, not all, but us, be right about something?
we can be right. I mean, so that's the thing, your truth
Okay.
is your truth. It doesn't mean it's real. Reality and truth are two different things. It doesn't mean it's real. It's your truth. Like I have my own truth. And the reality that I experience is my reality. And it's your reality that your experience is your reality. If we keep this open channel of communication, we may enrich both realities by sharing our subjective perspective. But the moment I come to you and I say my truth is the only objective one, and my reality is the only objective one, I have only two possibilities, three if you want. You agree with me, then we're going to have a wonderful conversation. But if you don't agree with me, that's only two options: or you are wrong, or you are lying. And obviously that's the source of a conflict, because my reality is objectively true, so it's the only one possible. um, so for me, reminding myself this is helping me massively in any relationship, in any conversation. I don't remember last time I had a fight with anyone.
Not even with a dog. Not a dog. Animals, for example, they don't disturb you, or
No, I mean, why should they? I mean, they're just doing their life, doing the things they dogs do, animals do. But even every person, they're just doing the things they do. Is their reality? It doesn't mean that it has to be my reality.
yeah, that's true. But do you have some kind of exercise that you used to do that got you into this position that you are today?
Um, it's a constant practice. Yes, on that I'm very disciplined in my daily practice. So every morning I have my own ritual. Um, one of which is writing, for example. Another one is, I mean, I have my morning sequence in which I do some stretching and I wake the body. I do some contemplation. I don't call it meditation because I don't really meditate. I'm more like contemplate my thoughts, and then I write, and then I read. And I always do these four things in sequence. And and for me, that's essential. Once a friend, um, he told me that he went to a pottery class. You know, I don't know if you ever saw people doing like vase on pottery. They have this round thing and
Yeah.
that spins, and then using your hand, you give shape to something. So the first thing you have to do when you start doing that is to be sure that the clay that you use is exactly at the center of the table. But exactly at the center, because the moment the table starts to spin, if it's not precisely at the center, the pieces of clay are going to go and they're going everywhere. So instead of
Yeah.
creating a wonderful piece of art, it's going to, throw
Make a
stuff
mess. Yes.
make a mess around the room. So I take my morning practice in the same way. Is how I center myself on who I am and what's truly important for me. Then life, the day can spin at any speed during the day, but because I'm centered, I can stay I can stay true to myself. I don't. It doesn't. It never become a mess. And I struggle a bit more. I mean, the morning when like because I have to travel or things like that, I cannot do my morning practice. I really have to use all my willpower to stay focused, centered, and you know, not get angry or troubled by the things happening around me. But when I really, and for me, like the best investment I do in my life is taking that hour every morning, which I do. I protect that space. I do my own stuff. So if it is one thing I can recommend anyone, is really to find your morning practice. Find your morning rituals. They can be whatever you want, whatever help reminds you who you are and what's truly important for you. I know people who do they do self affirmation, people who love mindfulness, who do people who does I don't know breathing exercise. It's not important what you do, as long as it's something that really had to remind who you truly are and what's important for you. So when life starts spinning around and you are pulled in every direction, you can stay centered and make your day uh, uh, a piece of art instead of a mess, throwing pieces around. So if I have, I mean, if there's one practice that for me is fundamental, is really having my morning rituals.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. If the morning doesn't start right, I can actually say that my day is kind of messy, doesn't feel right.
Oh, I understand that. When you have kids, maybe that they wake up and breakfast, go to school, and you have some time you need to be at work at a specific time. Then plenty of constraints, and I'm absolutely aware of that. Um, like for example, my morning practice, I found a way that if I'm in a rush, I can do everything in 15 minutes. All four of them in 15, 20 minutes. Obviously, is a very reduced version. So I only do like four stretching exercise just to loosen my back a bit. I contemplate for 3 to 5 minutes. I write only 3 lines, maybe, and I read a quote instead of a few pages of a book. I just read a quote. I find a lovely quote and I read that. That's it. It takes me like 15 minutes. They just say that it's about finding something that is sustainable in the long term. So it's um, I know a person that wake up only 10 minutes earlier, but it's a friend of mine. She has 2 kids, and anytime she wake up and the moment she get out of bed, is I mean the day started. I mean kids are going to hear that she's up. They're going to come. So So what she does, she wake up and she stay in bed for 10 minutes without moving. So she's not waking up anyone else. And she uses 10 minutes to do her breathing practice. Uh, you know, I mean, it works for her. It's a way, but it's a way to find your small little things that help you stay centered.
Yeah.
And maybe taking a shower, or I was speaking yesterday with a friend. Every morning, wake up, you do like a cold shower, and that is recentering practice. Doesn't take much. But it's
Yeah.
about finding that for me.
Okay. And when you said you have your meditation kind of in the morning, do you have kind of a mantra that maybe you
No,
can share with us? Or
no. I have a difficult relationship with meditation. Um, I mean, I haven't found a way to sit down and stop my mind and calm down my mind. When I sit down, that's why I call it contemplation. Because what I do is I sit down, I start some music, I have some sounds and music that I use on one app. I set the timer, and then I let my mind go wherever my mind wants to go, and I just observe my thoughts, whatever comes. Sometimes it's idea for things I want to write. Sometimes are memories. Sometimes are silly stuff. Whatever. I let my mind do. Um, the only time where I truly meditate, and that I don't know, it maybe sounds silly again, is when I'm doing something.
okay.
So right now, my two best form of meditation are walking. So if I go out for a walk, that's where I can truly meditate because I focus on the walking. I'm doing something, and I'm not thinking anything else. Or when I'm washing the dishes.
Oh,
So for me, that doing the dishes is a meditation, is a practice of meditation. I don't know if it's the running water, the hot water, but it's my 5 minutes in which I go there, I do, and I'm focused only on the movement and the things I'm doing. My mind is not thinking anything else, and I find it very very relaxing and so
very peaceful
if
for your
anyone
soul.
is like me struggling to meditate and do any mindful practice, the key that I found is doing something that you can do with full focus. That's
Okay.
where my mind go quiet.
Okay. 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 Usually, I need everyone. I need to be alone in the room, uh, a candle in the middle to listen some music. But
Wonderful.
that's good. It's good that you find something that calm your mind, even doing the dishes. I wish I
Absolutely.
had that.
Yeah. That for me is just to say that that's why I'm always I'm never trying to push people to do things that they're not part of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So if meditation doesn't come natural, like sitting with your leg crossed and it doesn't come natural or you're struggling, you may try different ways. Um, I think it's truly important that we all find our own ways in which we are authentic in the way we do things, instead of trying to go to fit into the image of something. And it, it's for everything. There's not the perfect balance, mindful person. It's just finding your ways. And maybe it's playing with the dog or drawing something with your kids is a way of finding peace, mind peace. And um, my invitation is always life is a constant experiment. So try different things, experiment until you find things that work for you. And I don't
Coming
care
this
if it
from
doesn't
us.
if it doesn't fit the picture or the idea of the perfect mindful person, or if it works for you,
Yeah,
that's
coming this from a person who is a scientist, but also a believer in uh, meditation, peacefulness, and power of optimist and creating impact. It's something really.
Well, it's a science. I mean, science is for me. Science is a way to get to the truth. And there are two ways for me in which that I'm which I'm working as a way to get to the truth. One is science as a scientific approach that I use in most of the things I do, and the other one is my spiritual journey to truth. And they're just two different paths, but in the end, the things I'm going towards is truth.
Yeah. Fabio, as we wrap up this podcast, what message or piece of advice would you like to leave our audience with?
Ooh, that's a responsibility. um, you know, I would say that.
Or maybe you read a quote that was.
No, I mean, I was. These things came up for me a few times. It's something I tell myself often, and it's reminding myself that wherever I am in life, I'm just a prototype of the next version. So the journey of growing, learning, is never finished, and I will never stop growing and learning. I'm a prototype, but also it had me be compassionate with whatever mistakes I do, or I'm not the final product. I'm just a prototype. So like with any prototype in life, any experiment, they can go wrong. Okay, tomorrow is another day. I try a different to do things differently. But for me, it's always reminding myself that we are all prototypes. No one is the final version. No one is perfect. So it reminds me to be compassionate with myself and with anyone else I meet in my journey.
Okay. Thank you, Fabio. And
Thank
thank you
you.
for today. Thank you for taking your time.
It was a pleasure, truly a pleasure.
Really, for me too. I learned a lot of things from you, and I will have to find your book and to see what kind of experiments you find and to learn more.
Oh, let me know. Let me know how it works. I truly feel that, as I said at the beginning, just to close the loop, we are truly all born with an infinite creative potential. So for me, subtraction is just a message of hope. We all have the possibility to unleash that potential. We just need to clean up a bit of space inside and outside and see the magic happen.
Okay, that's good. Let's see. Let's find out.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Fabio.
Thank you.
Many thanks for taking the time. For our listeners, don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more inspirational stories. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.